afternoon. I am excited to be here today with a good friend who I was able to meet and make acquaintance with. We're still getting to know each other. I call her a good friend because so far she has already blessed me in so many ways, from recently assisting with, the senior year mom services. Shout out to all the class of 2020. But this is Miss Cha Jones. She is a phenomenal woman. That's what I call her. And she is the next example of what we call a legacy leader, someone moving and shaking in their community around the world, because she's internationally doing service and helping out others and has lived around the world. And so you're going to be blessed, as I am, and my daughter, and everyone that's around her, by her messages, her personality, and her gifts. And so I'm excited to have made her acquaintance and to be having lunch with her today, because she does have a ladies in lunch that she'll tell you all about and how you can join every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. But welcome to Jeneen Cares. Jeneen Cares is caring, achieving, restoring, empowering, and supporting. And so we're here today for lunch. And so please introduce yourself. Tell us a little about yourself. Tell us how we connected and your background and experiences.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so grateful that you had me today. So we know each other because we share common interests. Jeneen's daughter is my son's sister. So I am excited about what she's doing this year. She's graduating in 2020. So they have this epic year, and we're going to celebrate her and then send her off to college at Hampton University. So I'm excited about that. But as far as me, I am an intercultural and diversity trainer, and I've been doing that for probably about 15 years. I've been in training and development for over 25 years. I've been a teacher, so I've educated both here in the United States and abroad. I'm also an author. I'm a philanthropist. I do have a nonprofit called Expat Women of Color, which is a 501c3. And that nonprofit basically it's a networking association that works with women of color who are living, working, studying, or traveling abroad. We try to network women who want to find resources as they are thinking about living abroad, or if they are living abroad and they're trying to navigate going from one country to another. And then students, and that's really my real push right now, is to help students, especially minority students, because a few years ago we were only represented by about 4.6% of the population of those students who are studying abroad. And when I came back from living abroad, I thought, what? And that was compared to like 8.7% of Caucasian students who were studying abroad. Wow. So I really want to increase those numbers and work with both male and female students who haven't lived outside of their own comfort zone, because most minorities only, know what is like close to them. So it's wonderful that they're going off to college now in bigger numbers. However, a lot of times they're only doing those things like and they'll stay within their city or stay within their state, right, but they don't venture out. And so I want to make sure that we as African Americans have the same advantages, because right, we are living in a global world. And as we can clearly see within this pandemic, that the world is flat. And so if you don't have any global experience at this point, you have set yourself up for failure. So
that is phenomenal. That is so phenomenal. And I feel a little deprived because I really haven't traveled the world like I want to, or exposed even Cherie, which, now once this is all over, hopefully you and I and our families can go on some trips together and we can explore the world, because, this pause has really created a mindset where we're reflective about what we're doing well and where our areas of growth are. And so I appreciate all that you're doing for women. It reminds me of my next initiative with a book study using Becoming and using the documentary of Becoming. I want to differentiate the experience. But basically what I want to do is have on my group follow the group Restorative Leadership 101. I want to have some discussions about that documentary because it's phenomenal. I mean, the messages, the relationships, the relatableness of Michelle Obama. There's one point in the video, she's sitting and waiting for to go on stage for some huge concert. And she's like, listen to the song, I Can Flip the Switch, what the kids are doing right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, just to be in her presence virtually is just amazing. And so when you and I were talking the other day in person, you gave me that same aura that, just listening. You were a really good listener, number one. So I think I did a lot of the talking, but you also shared your diverse experiences and your passion. I would have never known that you were an educator as well. And so I was like, this is a phenomenal woman. So I was really excited and engaged and ready to celebrate you. So thank you for joining me for lunch. And I hope that we encourage through this opportunity that we're doing right now, other women to come and join you for Ladies in Lunch on Wednesdays at 12 and also be blessed by you. So Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
So first question, what we're doing is asking restorative questions, and restorative practices teaches us the importance of building community like you're doing, having a laser-like focus on some kind of cause, and then really making sure that we do a lot of things proactively to ensure that we are in a good space, a healthy space, in the event a conflict occurs. And so as you think about your family experiences or your work experiences being a Black woman, I mean, I can't help but to think about the reflection that I have from being sometimes the only minority in a room or in a setting, and what that brings to me and what that might bring to others even. And so I think it's really important that we do a lot of reflection. And when I think of what the impact of restorative practices is, it is relationships, and reflection is the word that really summarizes it best. And so as you have been experiencing this pandemic, what have you been thinking about? I mean, you've lived globally, and so international, give me a good big picture of what you've been thinking and feeling and concerned about as this continues.
Well, several things, because a lot of my friends are abroad, and I just did with Ladies in Lunch on Wednesday, so a couple of days ago, a panel discussion with a couple, I think it's 5 young ladies, one from Germany, Dubai, Oman, China, and Mexico. And the conversation was really about how they're experiencing the global pandemic. Right. And just prior to the pandemic, I had just finished up an interview with in Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabian gas company. And so it was on the last leg and hopefully getting ready to go to Saudi Arabia. So I was really excited about that experience because then it would have been my 3rd contract abroad. And then literally 3 days later, the whole pandemic hit the US.
So about March 16th to be exact, because I remember March 12th, I was at a training in my county and I had to just stop the training, and we talked and we did a circle, we circled up. So keep going, I understand.
Yeah, and so you think about the shift that you have to make. Absolutely. And it kind of puts some things to halt. And so right now I'm thinking about all the people I know, in my organization, we have over 5,400 something odd women who are living in a little over 34 countries. And so thinking about what resources they need, shifting, how do you do training virtually versus doing it in person? And that's something that I was already thinking about. Yes. And then I'm also an intercultural trainer. And so that shifted some of the trainings I was doing because they were in person, that had to go to virtual, and then being able to shift technology. And just so happened, that's my trade. So it wasn't that difficult for me. However, just thinking about how do you move forward? Because, and I keep saying this to people, this is the new normal. We're not going back to anything. There will be things that look familiar, but it won't be the same. Just like after 9/11, nothing went back. I used to think, okay, this is only going to happen in the airports for a certain amount of time. Then we're gonna move forward. And airports never went back to the way things were. Like I
Right.
couldn't just walk in and keep it moving, right? I had to pay,
You're absolutely right.
$90, $80, $80, $90 for global entries and this, that, and the
Right.
other. And so they just start taxing me. But so you're not moving the same. And so I think for me, I'm thinking about how do you move in this and continue to be successful and continue to do the work that you love. And for a lot of people, the jobs that they had are no longer. And so they're going to have to think about how do I shift and how do I move differently in this new age because things aren't going back. So as we're reopening right now, I think people need to really consider that because for some people it's going to be a hard pill to swallow because they're not ready and they don't either have the education that's going to take them to the next level. They need to re-educate. And for a lot of people, they need to really consider there's a lot of places that are giving free education and take advantage of that right now.
Absolutely. You raised on a lot of good points. I think the final few are preparation and education. And that's something that I definitely have been doing a lot of recently. I think that professional learning experiences are definitely out there in some of the major universities that we need to be taking advantage of. So I've been doing a lot of professional learning on self-care and the impact of, what stress can do. And right now we're all under stress. We're all grieving. And so, that mental health as we conclude the month of May, thank you to all of our mental health providers, because they're
Yes.
still providing services just as well as those on the front line are providing services. And those are the ones that we are really going to continue to need as this continues to play out. I'm also thinking about our students. And, when I do professional learnings with staff, all I hear is how concerned they are about the physical and emotional state of their students and missing them tremendously. Our administrators are still, yesterday my daughter and I went to pick up her cap and gown, and I see 3 administrators on one side of the building giving out caps and gowns in a line. As you talk about, things are not going to be the same. And then 3 administrators on one side, the other side of the building giving out because of the social distancing norms and just trying to think strategically about safety first. And then, all that. It's just a lot to process. So thank you. I definitely agree with all of your points. What has been probably the hardest thing for you? As we ask these questions, I want people to understand that the questions that I'm asking are strategic and they're restorative. And so with restorative, we think past, present, and future. And so we've talked a little bit about the past, and we're going to continue that with like kind of what you're feeling now and what's been the hardest in the present thing for you.
So I'm an introvert who learned to be an extrovert. So when people meet me outside, they think, oh, she's an extrovert. I'm not. I really do like being alone, and I really like being able to self-reflect. I stay in my head a lot. However, I do like being able to socialize. And for me, I get my energy from myself. So I don't need anybody to add energy to me. However, oftentimes when I go out and I'm around people, I do pick up their energy. I have to go sift that out when I come home, but I like being around people and I come alive. And so it's a good dynamic for me. But my time in the house didn't just start in March. My time started in August because I have a 9-month-old son. And so he was born in August. And like just before then, I had like started being at home. And then after I had him, having to be home. And so I still had the freedom to go places, but most of my time was being with him and helping him through his developmental stages. But then March hit, and March was supposed to be that time for me to be like, okay, let's get back to me and let's start working on your big projects. And so I was planning a retreat. I was planning on potentially taking a position overseas. and just different things. And they all stopped, or they had to be adjusted. And so for me, I had to shift. And for a lot of people, they just had to shift. And you still want to move forward, but at the same time, you have to come up with a different game plan. And that was difficult because I was like, wait, now y'all want me to, I have to sit in the house? And it was just like 2 days prior, I had just put him into swim class, and we were gonna like go to mommy and me swim class. And so I was excited about that. And I had just got him little swimming trunks. So they had just arrived, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, and then we had like, I would go on Fridays. He had a play date at the hospital with other moms, and then we had just started going to story time. So I was trying to get, because he's going to be the only child by me. So I wanted to make sure he had interaction with people and that he had interpersonal skills. But all of that halted, and then I was the sole responsible person for being in his face 24/7, 365. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, because I didn't really set to be a stay-at-home mom permanently. But the good and bad of that is that I do get the opportunity to be there for him. I get the opportunity to make sure that he is developing as he needs to. And so that's a blessing, because I don't have to spend a gazillion dollars on childcare. And I'm an educator, so I should be able to educate and help him in that respect. But it was a shift that I had to adjust to, and it's different when you want to do something versus when you have to do something. So I didn't want to have to stay in the house.
Absolutely.
I had to plan for that and get prepared for that, just as everybody else did. And for some introverts, this is a great time because they're thriving in this. But for extroverts, they're having a really hard time being in the house 24/7, or only being able to go out to the grocery store, and then you can't talk to anybody, you can't get hugged. It's just not good.
Yes, you are summarizing all of my extroverted feelings. And sometimes I'm also an introvert too. Like, I don't really, need, we are so much alike in that I can motivate myself. A lot of my strength comes from the Lord, though, like in my faith in God, and just that reflection and the praise and worship and the testimonials about all that I've been through, but still, and we're still here, and I'm still here. That kind of So it's one of those things where I appreciate it. I love your parenting skills. I mean, how did Larry get so lucky again? I'm telling you, like, it's amazing. I love the little swimmers. You're giving us a lot here in this interview. You're allowing the parents to see some tips. You're talking about the educational aspect. You're talking about just life and big picture alone aspects. And so thank you so much for that reflection. I appreciate it. This is why we do restorative practices. You learn, you connect, you grow, you build community. I know that someone who's watching, because we decided to go live today at lunch, partially because my Zoom account is not working. So Zoom, if you're out there listening, I need y'all to fix my account because mine is working. I don't have the option to more and do the live streaming, so I need y'all to fix that. But anyway, I appreciate you, your energy, your passion for students, your family oriented. It's a great family is really important, and those family structures. So I'm just going to segue for 1 second about what you appreciate most, aha, appreciation, and anxiety, just about the role of being a parent from the new lens of your new relationship with your in-laws and such like that. So what's your aha, what's your appreciation, and what's your anxiety? It's also a restorative strategy. You want to give prompts that kind of connect and are memorable to help people. If I were to do a circle right now and ask the same person those 3 questions, everybody would have their own reflection. So you go first and then I'll answer the same way. So what's been an aha moment with family? What's been an appreciation moment with family? And what's been an anxiety moment with family?
So my aha is, If you didn't ask me that, I probably would know. But my aha moment is that, you know, I haven't been around children, but like I feel like because I have nieces and nephews and a lot of my little cousins, I watch them be born and move through life. But it's been some years. I even have a sister that is like young enough to be my child. So she's if I'm 44, she's 24. So we're 20 years apart, and I brought her into the world. I know she probably would hate for me to say that, but like I literally gave birth to her. And I never so I wanted children, but I wasn't pressed. So, to not have a child to 43, that was like my cutoff because I was like, okay, God, if I don't have a child by 43, I'm over this. Like for real, we can keep it moving because my life is wonderful.
Right.
But the aha part of it is I didn't really know how, like, because my son has a lot of personality. I remember he was like 3 months. We took him to the doctor for one of his visits. And the doctor was like, oh, she went to go do something to him. And he pushed her away, like, woman. And she's like, oh, he has a lot of personality. So he came into the world with a lot of personality. Yeah. And I have dealt with children, but not with so much personality. So the aha is that, like, it's so amazing how these children, they adapt with the time. And so they're not the same little kids that I'm accustomed to. And even like my niece and my nephews, they're totally different. And he has so much personality, like what he does not want. And then he's also a Leo like yourself. So
shout out to the Leos. It's your birthday.
And y'all can be very different. So it can be challenging. And I guess the aha is that I try to respect that he has a personality. And the one thing I think I'm good at, like you mentioned, I listen. And that's the coach in me. And also the educator, because you want to listen before you start trying to teach something.
Exactly.
But I think for me, I want to respect that he is his own person. I want to respect that he has come into the world already predestined to do certain things and that he has in him everything that he needs. It is for me to help develop and bring that out of him. I'm not instilling anything into him. I'm helping to cultivate what is already in him. That's my job. And I think at 43, he has a blessing of having me. Now, at 23, he wouldn't have had the blessing. Because I would have been like, I don't really care about you, I care about me. So I think the blessing, the aha, is that I have self-awareness to know that my job is to cultivate what is already inside of him. And I'm here to mold and guide, but I'm not here to make. And he's already, we had that 9 months of making. So I already, subliminally, like in my conscious and unconscious mind, I was already talking to him. So he's just bringing that forward. So I appreciate that also, but that's also my aha, like, don't try to create the wheel, just allow it. Right. But I really appreciate the time that I have had with him. I appreciate all the people that I have, and I'm really blessed to have great family members. I'm blessed to have his father here, and to they have a wonderful relationship, almost to the point I'm like, hello, I carried you for almost 10 months. Excuse me, sir. But I'm also grateful for that because I can't teach him how to be a man.
Right.
And so that I need that role to be filled by the appropriate person. And then the anxiety is that, and this goes back to 13 weeks. At 13 weeks, they sent me an email and I clicked on it and I knew I was having a daughter. Her name was London. We had talked about this in my head. But
it all worked out. The plan was perfect. And then
it was. But I was hot. I mean, I literally, when I clicked on the email, I cried. I cried for at least 8 hours. Like literally, I was at work in tears, like who said me like London is supposed to be coming in this world, not Langston.
London, you got Langston, but Langston is a powerful person already. We already know. We claiming that.
But the blessing was that I did get Langston. However, the tears were not because of male, female gender roles. The tears were really about the fact that as a Black woman, I was carrying a Black man who was potentially going to come into this world and have the world on his shoulders. And he has an X on his back the moment he walks into this world.
Isn't that just the hardest thing in the world? I had the same experience when I found out I was having Timothy. The exact same experience. You know, you're overwhelmed with joy and immediately you're like, oh my, pray.
Yeah, you know? That for me was the hardest thing because I felt like I was prepared. Male, female, didn't matter. I was prepared to be a mother. I asked for him to come into the world. God blessed me with him. I knew that I was ready to be a mother. Like I said, it was 43, not 23. And so there's a difference. But at 43, I was not prepared in my head to bring forward a Black man in these times. You know, I mean, over the last 10 years, I mean, they've been killing Black men since the beginning of time. However, it hasn't been so much in our face until the last 10 years where you can videotape it and it's all on the news in a minute and then people are still getting off and, you know, you're inundated with that. And so I knew that my challenge was going to be more difficult than I had anticipated. And so I was going to be the mother of a young Black man. And what I know about, I come from a family, I think I got 3 male cousins on my mother's side.
There's a lot of women in my family too.
2 on my, no, I have probably 3 or 4 on my father's side. Like literally, I don't have that many, and I have a gazillion female cousins. So like I wasn't aware, like you have to stop and they tell you do this, you gotta put your hands on it. I don't do that. Like I don't worry about that when the police come up to me. Not that the target's not on my back, but I don't wear the X like the Black man does. So for me, I really had to be aware, and my anxiety is that this young man has to move differently. My conversation has to be different for him. And when he shows up, he has to show up with his head held high. He has to walk in. He has to demand respect. He has to be articulate. He has to come with 101 things to combat all 500 things that they're gonna come with him. And so that was my anxiety. And I try not to worry about it. And I don't want to inflict fear in his mind nor mine, but it's real.
It is real. And so I said I would follow the same questions and I'm going to work backwards because I'm being led to work backwards. And I'm going to start with your anxiety because I can connect with your anxiety the most. And I had that same. And in a conversation with one of my line sisters recently, I feel like she reminded me because I was all where you were in terms of, you know, me and Cherie and I were just recently talking and Timothy did something and I was reinforcing the fact that you need to follow directions. Okay. Do I have to call your father? I really don't want to. Right. And so it's one of those things where I'm already having the conversations about if you ever, as an adult, get stopped, here's what you're going to do. Here's how you're going to speak. Here's what you're going to say, you know? I'm already having that conversation with him. And he's only 6 right now, but it's never too early. But then my line sister was like, okay, you can do all that and still die.
Right.
So then that's the anxiety. Like, you know, you can be the perfect parent and still, you know, have issues as a result of what we're dealing with in today's society. So that's an anxiety to connect with your anxiety. My appreciation is the community builders that, you know, are within my family, that are building community, that are, you know, within my friend group that are building community. The appreciation comes from me being able to have a job where I can work from home and care for my children's emotional wellness while assisting in their instructional learning still. And so for me, that's mixed with a little bit of anxiety and appreciation because a homeschool, follow me on Jeneen Cares YouTube. You see my homeschool, you see my, I'm now a homeschool teacher. Ooh. Or you see my cabin fever with a teen and a spouse. Cabin fever all over my house. So all those things bring me just a little bit of anxiety, you know, mom, wife, daughter, sister. I mean, you name it, sorority, everything. It's a little bit of everything going on there. A lot of hats that I'm wearing, and I love and appreciate every single one of them. But you know, you think strong women, you know, we're strong most of the time, but we have to have our moments. And so I've been doing a lot of self-care to keep the sanity and keep the, you know, the drive going. So, and then my aha moment is that, you know, I think people can work from home every now and then. I'm just saying. A lot of educators and people that are in the educational field don't get like the government has the ability to work from home until now. And so this has been a blessing and a level of awareness for people that are in the education field that we can still do it. And so I appreciate all the teachers. Oh my. I was a
Yes.
middle school and high school. The only experience I have with elementary, so I'm kind of not walking in my lane with my first grader right now. This is out of my comfort zone. Even as a former principal, elementary is out of my comfort zone. I'm glad I never applied for an elementary position because I just probably wouldn't have. I'd probably leave for now. I'm just joking, but I think that you know your gifts and your passion, and although I have transitioned from the building level administrator, I'm not allowing that mindset of a transition to keep me from my calling, which is working with students. And so that's my testimony in terms of, you know, sometimes we make changes in our lives, or changes are made for our lives, and we end up in a different position with new opportunities, but we always carry with us our passion for what we want to really do. And so I see that in you and you carrying out. I appreciate your reflection about the pause, and because when I learned, you know, about the child coming, Langston, Mr. or former President Langston coming, I was like, okay. And then Cherie was saying, oh, she's staying, you know, working from home or staying home with the, and I was like, oh, that's wonderful. I never got an opportunity to really do that. So I think the aha comes from just the greatness of the resilience of people with the restrictions that were like forced on us. And and you still see a lot of positive energy in people like you. And I think I've been told that I've been pretty positive as well. So thank you so much for that journey and reflection and that connection. I'm thinking about the next question. We did the hardest thing for you. What are you doing? What else are you doing? Because you're already sharing so many positive things in your mindset, but what else are you doing that's in your control? Because we just spoke about the fact that a lot of things are out of our control, right? We have to do this. We have to follow safety guidelines. And I hope everyone that's going out, please wear your mask. I am not appreciating the seeing of people walking around like things ain't changed. Things have changed, and I need you to be safe, okay? Because you're protecting yourself and others. And we really want everybody to make it through this. And so what have you been doing to remain positive?
So self-care is extremely important. So I go into my garden tub and give me some candles and have a wonderful hot bath, which is needed. And it gives me a time to reflect and to let go of the things that I can't control and to just be present. I think that's extremely important. I think a lot of times we don't take time to stop and just smell the roses or to just debrief situations and really understand like how we contribute to things, how others contribute to things, what we're holding on that we need to let go of. And so it's important that we have that moment. The other thing is I love to cook. So I cook, and some of the stuff I try to post on Facebook, some of it never makes it to Facebook. The other thing is I just had a time like I really do, even though I'm introverted, I do like going out and socializing. And when this all hit, like my brunch times every Sunday, me and a couple of my girlfriends who were in Korea together, we would meet up and we would go to a different restaurant for brunch. And then I have another girlfriend. She loves to travel. We travel, and so that's my travel buddy. And we normally try to travel like once a month. But since having a baby and then all of the city, all of that has been like no, right? So I then started thinking about, well, how can I socialize with women and connect women, because that's I'm a connector, and so because I connect women, I need to be connecting women so I could be purposeful. And so I started thinking about ladies and luggage. I mean, ladies. See, I did a conference a couple of years ago, ladies lipstick and luggage. Well,
ooh, that's cute.
Ladies and lunch, and during that time, I wanted to just showcase people who have businesses that have now had to transition to being online. I wanted to talk to women who were used to going to work and now have to do remote work. And so that's not good for everybody. I love remote work because I don't have to go in, I don't have to see you, I don't have to do the office politics or none of that. But that's not for everybody because it requires you to be disciplined. You need to be working. You need to be able to stop all the distractions. Plus, you have to be mindful that not only did people have to transition to something new, they had to be ready for something that they weren't expecting. Then, on top of that, some people are doing 3 or 4 different things. So not only am I a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, a co-worker, and all of it has to be done within my house. I don't even have a break time for that. So you have to think about how difficult that is and how much of that is on a lot of women's shoulders. Men, I don't know what it means to be a man. I know what it looks like. So oftentimes it looks like, well, I don't care. I'll just make it through, right?
Right.
For a lot of women, they are now teachers, they are mothers, they are caregivers, they are providers, they are disciplinarians, then they got to go to work.
Yes, it goes on.
They got to be the co-worker. They got to be the politician. They got to do all these different things and then still breathe. And you wonder why people are having nervous breakdowns. So this is real. And then on top of that, you know that domestic violence is higher because there is no break between, where you used to go to work and come home and you have some transition time. You don't have that. So we have to be real about what is. And for me, just being able to have a break, being able to take a reflection time, and then giving women opportunity to have conversations and talk about what they are going through, whether it be like, I just need to vent, or whether it's I'm learning something from somebody else's expertise, or whether it's just giving somebody the break to be in front of a different audience and expand their viewership. So I'm thriving in that, I think, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's the one thing I had to shift and be creative about, and you keep moving forward, and you just always have to learn how to adapt to new environments and be ready. And like one of my friends used to say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So you just have to, and nobody was ready for this, right? So they had to be creative on the fly. And I think Black people are, phenomenal at that. So that's what we do.
Yes. So thank you for sharing. I can connect with you on the self-care tips. I definitely like a nice bath with some Dr. Teal's. Ooh, some kind of aromatherapy has to be going on with that, whether it's a shower or not. I mean, and really, really hot water. And then cooking. Recently, my sorority sponsored a Tasty Tuesday where they did a Zoom and they were cooking, and I was learning because I'm not the best cook. I can cook, but I've been, blessed with relationships where they were cooks and not me. And so I haven't been a really good cook, but I do like cooking something good. If I'm going to cook, it's got to be delicious. And so I love and appreciate like cooking shows and watching those kind of things. And so I can connect with that as well. And then I heard you saying being creative and adaptable. I mean, if that is not the summary of what everybody is being forced to do in addition to staying home is, being creative and adapting to the situation and making the best of it. Understanding again that, we live by faith and grow in grace and walk in love, and that we have to do all those things with all those hats that you just talked about, and still persevere. And so I thank you for those messages. The final question, because my lunch break is about to end, I do have a professional learning that I have to facilitate in a little bit, is related to advice. You've already given so many suggestions, you're modeling, your life is modeling leadership, and from your parenting to your trainings to your heart. But what are some, if you were to give a few suggestions to parents first, as they manage this situation and manage after the situation, what would it be? And then if you were to speak directly to students, and that can be whatever grade level you choose to speak to, maybe the class of 2020, because we have a senior, what would you say to the seniors and what would you say to the parents right now?
Yes, I actually did an interview last night with one of my girlfriends who lived in Korea with me, and she has a show, and I was really promoting my new book, You Can Manifest Your Dreams. And it's a 6-week journal of actually manifesting. So from the setting your visions to the actual realization of your dreams. So to me, the advice that I would give seniors, mothers struggling, sisters, friends, is to first give yourself some reprieve, that you don't have to be on and you don't have to know the answers, because we're living in uncertain times and you just really need to be able to flow with it. Be open, because as we all know, the more open you are, the more receptive you are, the more things come to you. So as people are getting ready to transition, whether it's from high school to college, whether it's from one job to the next, whether it's from being at work to being at home, whatever the situation is, my advice is always stay open and be prepared. So this is a great time to learn what you don't know, to adventure into places that are unknown to you, and to just really be open to new possibilities and opportunities. This is a time to step out of your own wheelhouse, the things that you're comfortable with, and step into the unknown so that you can learn to be that part of you that is already in you, but is untapped. So just be open, be prepared, and move forward without hesitation, without any fear. Just be open.
Very nice. I love that ending and segue. The shirt that I exercised in yesterday said, "Fear over faith." Is that right? Faith. I'm sorry. Faith over fear. That's the thing about going live. Faith over fear. Today's shirt that I worked out in, doing some bang with my sorority sisters again. We do shout out to Dr. Kathy Brooks, who does bang. I caught it for just a little bit this morning, and the messages there on my shirt was blessed. And so you have heard a message of hope, another message of resilience, and we want you to lead boldly, walk boldly in your purpose and your passion, and look for resources along the way. Be open, as Ms. Jones said, to anything that may come your way that might be an opportunity. I can hear my deputy superintendent, Dr. Marco, in my mind saying the same thing. Be open to opportunities, because you never know when those doors are open. It may not be something that you envisioned, but it might be the perfect opportunity and platform to propel you to your next step in life. And so thank you so much for your time. Shout out again to the class of 2020. I want you to be bold, be visionary, care about others, and lead. Learn. I want you to empower others. I want you to act, have an action plan. Don't just act boldly without a plan and a purpose and a goal and a vision, and some support around you. And then dream big. Is there anything else? And thank you again for your time on this lunch hour. And is there any website that you want to kind of communicate to the audience that they can find you? Because I know people are going to want to find you.
Yes, so on social media, you can just look me up under Cha Jones, and that's just ChaJones. My website is chajones.com. And Amazon has my books. So I have 3 books on Amazon. Yeah, so I am free for discussion. I am free to speak. If anybody is looking for intercultural or diversity training and also transformation training, that's what I do. So I'm available. And I know you,
because you're not free,
I know
but you're available.
I'm available. Yes. So, and I know you are a Howard graduate. So there are a lot of people in this area in the DMV that went to Howard. I went to Grambling. So,
HBCU, hey.
Yeah, so there's some love there. And to all my other HBCU alumni, love you all. And
Much love to all.
For having me and giving me this opportunity, because I could talk all day. I know you have to go, but I really want people in this time to know this too shall pass. Are we going backwards? No. So you do have to have a plan and a vision to move forward. And without that, you won't make it, but you can make it through this. And this is just another opportunity for you to shine in a different area or a different arena with some different set of skills, and just be ready.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time today and for your blessings, family wise and beyond. You've been a blessing to our family. So thank you so much for all that you're doing for others in your community, and have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of the day. And I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you again for having me, and say hello to all the rest of the kids.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one. Take care.